What fictional character do you feel bad for the most? I always felt bad for poor old Edward Scissorhands. His pop died before giving him real hands. Probably Captain Rex. He spent 3 years fighting for the wrong side without even knowing, until it was too late. Then all his brothers turned on him. And his one friend through it all was Ahsoka, who he had to say goodbye to, not knowing Anakin or Obi-Wan's fate, but knowing that all of his clone friends had turned evil. Or died. The dude with the ice cream in Lilo and Stitch. Sirius Black. Born into a psycho-supremacist family. Accused of ratting out his BFF. Rots in Azkaban for 12 years. For a crime he didn't commit. Goes on the run. And dies a wanted criminal. Damn. Woodhouse the butler from Archer. Treated like shit throughout the whole series by pretty much everyone. Missed out on his last chance to see his brother because of his asshole boss. Reduced to living in an empty pool. Used as an online prostitute. Then died off screen a penniless and unloved heroin addict. I need you to go buy sand. I don't know if they grade it, but course. Herschel Green in the Walking Dead comic. Lost his eldest kids to walkers. Goes to the prison. Youngest kids get beheaded, and then during the attack on the prison, his last son gets shot and killed as they are trying to escape. Gives up on life and begs to be killed. Exclamation mark. There are so many characters you could say the same for, but I'm currently rereading it, and his character is among the most tragic. Thomas from the Maze Runner series of novels. That kid is put through a ridiculous amount of emotional and physical trauma, only to have everything he's ever done be destroyed by himself. And then there's poor Chuck. He literally just wanted to be happy and didn't do anything to hurt anyone. The beginning of the Fever Code seriously made me feel for Thomas though too. Butters, this poor kid is always manipulated by his friends and grounded for everything. Butters, you're grounded. That line always makes me laugh, but also feel so bad for him. AWW. Hamburgers. Alucard from Castlevania. Alucard will always annoy me, because I didn't realize until SSBU that his name is just Dracula backwards. If it helps, that isn't his real name. Adrian Fahrenheit Tepes is his actual name. I believe he just takes the name Alucard in opposition of his father. Also, the name Alucard originated in the 1943 movie Son of Dracula. If I recall correctly, there's even a scene where a character writes Alucard out and points at the letters in reverse order for the big Dracula reveal. It's pretty cheesy, but the Castlevania games were pretty damn cheesy too. Kif. Stand in that hole so I look taller. Tom Robinson from To Kill a Mockingbird. I also feel bad for Boo Radley. Poor guy gets treated like crap by his abusive family. John Marston. John. His wife and his young son lived life on the run in an outlaw gang. It begins to tear itself apart under the pressure of Pinkerton detectives. Spoilers ahead, he's left for dead by the gang's leader. But John pulls through with the help of his dying friend. He sees a chance for his family to run and try to live straight. And they do. John takes up legal work as a ranch hand and a bounty hunter. He gets bank loans approved and now has the money to build a house and barn on a property of his own. John and his wife have the official wedding they never had. He had time to spend with his son and be the dad he never could be before. And the loans get paid off. Life was good until the Pinkertons arrived. They held his wife and son captive. In exchange for their release, they make John hunt down the remaining gang members. One by one he does. Finally taking down his old gang leader with help from the US Army. John rode back to his farm and family. His old outlaw days truly buried in the past. Weeks later the army soldiers in Pinkertons converged on John's farm and opened fire. It was now his turn. His family fought their way to their barn. And at John's request they escaped on horseback. John left the barn to face the men. And he was cut down in a hail of gunfire. I also feel really bad for Jack, and in turn, John and Abigail as well. Jack must have felt so crushed to lose his father and his mother so brutally and suddenly. That sort of trauma would have messed him up real bad and set him up in a violent path of vengeance that he might never have come back from. And despite John and Abigail's efforts to let go of their previous life of murdering and stealing, in order to provide their son a better life. That is all undone by some assholes from their past, who indirectly caused him to become the very thing his parents hoped he wouldn't become. It's depressing really. Will from Stranger Things. His childhood is ruined by traumatic events, and when he finally comes back his friends are too busy being in love to care. The entire third season he's just trying to play D&D. It's infuriating. Agreed. I was pissed and started to hate the other kid characters because of that season. Though rewatching it again, Mike has really been a little shit 90% of the time. Lol. Any citizen in the same city as a superhero. At some point that shit has to get old. Honey, an evil villain is going to release toxic gas at 5 PM. If Pickle Man doesn't surrender himself. Are the gas masks in the kitchen cabinet or in the RV? Edited to I legit pulled Pickleman out of my ass and didn't know it was a real thing. Sorry for the unintentional reference. God, can you imagine the car insurance rates your deductible doesn't cover being stepped on by the Hulk? This is the third time this year you've claimed your car was used as a projectile weapon by Superman. Maybe park in a different lot. Anyway, your rates are going up again. Not to mention 8-month waiting list for windshield replacements. Well, if Doctor Doom had announced this was going to happen, we could have stocked up. At one point there was going to be a show kind of like The Office that took place at an insurance company that exists in a world of superheroes. Never came to pass, though. Sydney Prescott. She's had, what, 8 different serial killers after her? Pretty much everyone she's known or dated has been brutally murdered. And all because she did nothing. She did nothing to deserve a life of torment. But wait, there's more. Another Scream is coming, so far only Dewey is confirmed. Todd in the episode of Community where they divide into study groups. No offense, none taken. A single teardrop running down his face. Teddy from Westword. Poor guy has been treated like shit by everyone. The Marsden curse. Mayhes. R.I.P. Hughes. He dug too deep for the boys, but I believe he didn't regret a thing besides not being around for his daughter. Daddy, you need to go to work fucking killed me. All the clone troopers. I feel so bad for them. They were just used by the Republic and then just thrown away after the Clone Wars. John Coffey from the Green Mile. Him and Edward Delacroix too. The one who talked to mice. But the ass butt of a young guard thought it would be funny not to wet the sponge. A word. Really mostly any second-born child of a royal family. Cause the first one, this is my heir, they shall inherit the throne. And the second one, it's like, oh, and this Bob. And then wonder why Bob is such a mess. Ocarina of Time Link. Poor dude lived a tragedy. In BOTW Link lost. Fell asleep for 100 years. Woke up with all of his friends dead because of him. And is expected to fix everything. When you put it that way, it's basically the setup to Avatar: The Last Airbender. That one lady who gets picked up by the pterodactyls in Jurassic World and then almost drowns before getting picked up again, only to be eaten by a mosasaurus. All she did was say her fiancé couldn't have a bachelor party. You know that had to be a writer trying to get back at his fiancé for not allowing him to have a bachelor party, so he figured he'd kill her fictionally. The little match girl. She is homeless, starving, freezing, and lonely. Then she dies. My mom thought that it was too sad. So when she would tell me this story, she'd change the ending and tell that just as her last match was about to go out, a woman saw the girl, took her home, gave her a nice bath and a room, and adopted her. Years later, when I was old enough, she told me the actual ending and that she had changed it on purpose. The girl squirrel from the Sword in the Stone animated film. If you haven't seen it, the protagonist Arthur gets magically turned into a squirrel and a girl squirrel falls in love with him. When Arthur got turned back into a human and left her all heartbroken and crying, it genuinely upset me. As a young kid, it was one of my first experiences of feeling real pity, and it's stuck with me ever since. It wouldn't have hit as hard if Merlin didn't note that they pick a mate for life. So a little boy's training lesson left that girl squirrel to be heartbroken for the rest of her life. The kid's like 12. How long do squirrels live anyway? Get the hell back in that tree and live a happy life with that girl squirrel, damn it. King of England can wait a few years. Squirrels can live like 20 years, so that's a hefty commitment just for pity's sake. Then again, he's English, so I'm surprised he didn't just commit to it out of fear of the social awkwardness caused by the reveal that he's a human, not a squirrel. Shrug, oh well. Guess I'm a squirrel now. Apostrophe. Rickety Cricket. The episode he fell in love with the dog killed me. Goofy. I'm sure anyone around 30 or so who has seen the Goofy movie understands exactly what I mean. Oof. Yep, that was rough. He just wanted to spend time with Maximum. NGL Maximum was kind of an ass. Especially in that scene, right before he went to college. Like damn, he spent all that time. You cold waited 15 minutes and eaten a nice home cooked breakfast. Edit. It's come to my attention that I'm currently talking about an extremely goofy movie. Op that I replied to is referring to a Goofy movie. I actually had a similar occurrence to this today. My GF is moving out of her dad's house and in with me tomorrow. And tonight is her last night with him. I told her that she needed to go to dinner with him and spend the night hanging out with him because it's the last one in that chapter. Jack's friend in Titanic. Imagine you sneak onto a world-class cruise with your best friend in the whole world, only for him to completely ignore you for a mediocre girl, only for you to fucking die when the ship sinks. All these years ABD countless rewatches, and I never considered what happened to him. They show him getting crushed by one of the smokest hacks I like. Neville Longbottom. His parents are alive, but were tortured into insanity by Bellatrix when he was a baby. He never mentions them, and there's only one scene in the books where Harry gets a proper glimpse into Neville's life. During a visit to the street Mungo's hospital, Neville's parents are completely lost and don't even seem to recognize their son. I just find it incredibly poignant that what is ostensibly a comic relief character has such a tragic backstory, but in spite of that, in the face of deadly adversity, overcomes his fears and becomes a hero.